Indianapolis Scouting Combine, joining us now, head coach, entering his second season with the Atlanta Falcons, Raheem Morris.
Raheem Morris.
I mean, you guys are catching up like old friends. I know you go way back, but at some point we got to get to work.
Well, we do go way back.
We do, Mike. I was there when we drafted him.
Right.
He was our first pick of that year.
Are you the one they blame for that? Are you the one they blame?
I mean,
Rich McKay, I think they blame mostly.
he had a chance.
I did have a chance. I had a chance, and then we did a cool thing for a little while because he was the assistant secondary coach to Mike Tomlin, and he would be a part of, like, we would go out on Friday night, me, him, and Rondé Barber, and we'd have a dinner. And
we really had like a great group.
We did.
Mike, me, you, Rondé, all of us. We all went out and kind of had dinner together.
Yeah, it was always good.
And we established almost as good as his Wood group. Not as good, but
You're
How
funny.
good would he have been, seriously? How good would he have been if he didn't have the spleen issue?
So I missed the spleen year because I went to Kansas State that year to be the defensive coordinator.
Right.
And I remember watching it on television, and it was one of those things that you just kind of like. I knew Chris, and I seen the hit, and nobody knew what was going on. Then he left, and he came back, finished the game, and I heard the crazy story, rest in peace, of Dr. Yako.
Yeah, right.
But
right.
I thought Chris had all the arm talent in the world. He could throw the ball all over the field. And then I remember getting back, and I remember whatever was called proprioception.
Yeah.
There it
Did
is.
I say that right?
Yeah, you did.
And I remember watching him try to throw the ball then as compared to what I knew.
Right.
And I'm like, man,
Yeah.
I don't know what's wrong, but something's wrong.
Right.
And
Right.
that was kind of sad to watch for me, seeing how talented he was throwing the football. I don't know if can you throw it now?
I can still throw it. I fixed it, but I don't think I ever got back to what I was. So
Yeah.
never did.
He had amazing arm talent. There's no question about that. He has such good arm talent. I took his brother as well.
That's great. You're funny.
Well, you got a guy with arm talent now as your starting quarterback, Michael Penix. Just a small topic of conversation this week. What's going to happen with the guy you signed last year in free agency? Terry Fontenot said earlier that he's prepared to have him as the backup. Are you prepared to have a $27.5 million backup?
So it's not really that. Like, you got to budget that stuff very early, and you got to be able to have a plan for those guys in place, like in all of those things always change. Those things always happen, how you go about your profession, how you go about your business. But talking about financially being in a position to do it, no, you don't want it. Is it ideal? No, of course not. But, like, all of those things will be determined in time. Right now it's really early here at the scouting combine. All of those things will happen right now. Obviously we have a bunch of different things that we got to go through from a contract standpoint because of the no trade clause and other things that you talk about. So we'll figure those things out as we go. I feel really good about the people that are going to be in charge of making those things happen, whether it's myself, whether it's Terry, whether it's all the guys that are involved with that decision-making on Kirk's team. But ultimately, we'll make those decisions as we go and figure it out.
How did you come to the decision, right? I know. I mean, what was it? Was there? It was the Washington or the Giant game you make the change.
Yes.
Right? Was it something that was kind of happening for a few weeks before, or was it just the Raiders game where it was like, finally, that's it, we don't like the way he's playing and we're putting in Penix?
Chris, quite honestly, when you make the decision, we hadn't been playing well. We didn't start playing well right after the bye, probably the game right before that. But the game before that, obviously is always tough when you're talking about, did I do something wrong? Yeah, right before that, the bye, we got our butts kicked by, Sean Payton in Denver. They did a nice job of really handling us that day. And then we come back and we play somewhat decent, but we throw the 4 interceptions, obviously at the position. You follow it up the week after that. You go out and you play another game, not as bad, not as good. So you're trying to rationalize these things in your head. And then ultimately we get to that game where we get the win, and we play really well around them, and we didn't play particularly well at the quarterback position. So it was all based on decision-making process and things of that nature, and it is what it is. And ultimately, as the head coach, you got to make those decisions when you make those changes, and you want to be able to handle those the right way. And I got so much respect for Kurt. I got so much respect for what he's done in this league and all the things that he led us to up until that point, getting us to 6-3, really providing a lot of life for our fan base, providing a lot of life for us. And I wanted to make sure that thing was handled the right way. So be able to sit down with him and make those changes and be able to go about those appropriate things and putting Michael Penix in for us was the right decision. And we made those things accordingly.
Yeah. When did you know, right, that Michael Penix would be ready for it? Was there another point in the year where you're like, hey, I mean, we're not making him the starter here, but he's ready if we need him?
There was moments even early on where you saw things that were pretty special from Michael. When you're talking about training camp and you're talking about moving forward to go into that first preseason game and why you only didn't play him in that one. Because there was things we started to see at that point where we didn't want to put him back out there to do those things because we knew we can develop it from
the
the
practice
space
and training
of practice.
camp. Yeah, right.
So really, we got a chance to develop him throughout the year, and he got a chance to be with TJ and DJ and Zach Robinson and all these guys. So we were able to see him develop from the off field, and even his support to Kirk within the room to do some different things. So we felt really good about putting him in. Had no idea exactly how poised you would be when you actually got into a game. And he got a chance to show us those things, the poise, the ability to throw the football, the ability to make all the throws and the plays that you wanted to make. So we really got fired up about those situations. So those things happened pretty quickly for us. And I can't tell you the exact pinpoint time,
right?
Because we had a starter in place.
Yeah.
We're winning football games. We felt good about where we were going. And then the things didn't go so well on that back end, that back stretch. So we had to make the change. Yeah.
And look, I understand that there are contractual issues that influence the situation. And you mentioned the no trade clause. And the bottom line, though, is we've seen in today's NFL, you do need 2 quarterbacks. And you can't afford to keep Kirk and his cap number when you've got Michael Penix on a rookie contract, because you never know when a guy's going to get injured. I always hate to say that because I don't want to jinx someone.
Sure.
But you want to have a competent number 2,
sure.
And it may work out that you have one.
Like I said, it's very early, Mike, but you looked at it just like we look at it from an everyday standpoint, and you have to have a guy that can go in there and, hopefully play a few games, but to be able to get you through whatever you need to get through, whatever the case may be. But we know who we are, we know what we have, and we feel really good about the human. Right. And all those decisions will be made moving forward here, and hopefully those things come to a nice resolution for us.
How about you and your process and all of this, right? You're one of the greatest defensive minds in football, right? How do you balance?
You're so nice, Chris.
Well, I've been saying that for a while.
Right. According to Chris, there are 20 of the best defensive minds in football.
We'll go there another point.
But how do you balance being the head coach, and you didn't call the defense this year, but I know you're involved, and what's going to be that process as we go forward here?
Yeah, very similar. Like, you want to be in position to be a part of the offense. You never want to get caught up in being an offensive defensive coordinator as a head coach. It's amazing how you can manage the game as far as that standpoint from an offense standpoint, because most of the managerial decisions happen on offense.
Yeah, right.
So when you're on defense, you can always chime in and be able to have help and be able to be helpful. And being able to do it this year moving forward with Jeff Ulbrich, feeling really good about it because of the compatibility of us having some history together and us moving forward. I feel great about that, and really look forward to us going out there and getting this thing all put together so we can go out there and win as many football games that we're capable of doing.
Right.
We asked Michael Penix Jr. about Kyle Pitts at the Super Bowl. He said he believes in him.
Sure.
What needs to happen to get him to achieve more of what that potential size, speed, just all the measurables would seem to point to?
Mike, you hit it right in the head. You want to be able to go out there and get all the things accomplished that you want to get accomplished with a talent like a Kyle Pitts. And a guy like Michael Penix, he sees all that talent, and he knows he has the ability to go out there and distribute the ball across the field. We also have some other pretty good targets on our football team. You're talking about Bijan, you're talking about Drake, you're talking about Mooney, you're talking about the surprising efforts that Ray McLeod gave us this year.
Right.
And then you have Kyle Pitts out there. And Kyle Pitts had almost 700 yards. I don't know the exact number of receptions, but a healthy number of receptions. And he had some games where it looks like potentially the best player on the football team.
Right,
We're talking about Tampa and catching the high cross and able to break a few tackles and score a touchdown, or beat man-to-man coverage and breaking off on a pillar route and able to catch that thing down the field. So he has some moments that leave you wanting more, leave you desiring more. And with a guy like Michael Penix that believes in him, you want to go try to fathom if you can get that thing done and see if you can get more.
Right.
So we're going to take it as far as we can take it from a coach's standpoint and see where we end up.
You got a great eye for talent. I know that. We've talked about players throughout the years. You've been around a lot of secondary players. I've been asking some of the GMs, what's the hardest position to evaluate? What's the most annoying? We've gotten two safety answers so far.
Safety,
which I know is not going to be yours because that's one of your sweet spots right there.
Safety would not be my answer.
No, I know it won't be. You have an eye for that department. So what would be yours that you'd go? It takes a lot of time, and there's a lot of variables that go into that one.
For me, I think safety might be annoying.
Right.
Because the amount of time that they're around the football.
That's what I think they were saying.
And you got to kind of try to break those things down.
Right.
So that might be why you can get some of those type of answers. But obviously, the hardest position to evaluate in sports, potentially quarterback.
Quarterback, right.
And when you got to get out there and find the guy and find the attributes and find the ethos and the makeup of the guy, that can go out there and lead your franchise, that's always going to be an issue.
Yeah, yeah.
One last one before we let you go,
Yes,
and
Mike.
this is the most important question I'm going to ask all week long. I don't know if you saw it, but Super Bowl weekend, Bill Belichick did a little Falcons troll job with the T-shirt his girlfriend was wearing. Will you be wearing any Duke gear the week that Duke gets ready to play North Carolina?
Funny.
No, I got so much respect for
He's not even going to go
arguably the greatest coach in the history of our game. It's like it's just like no need for me to do that. Like I got so much respect for Bill and what he's done throughout his career and all the things that he's done in this game. And I understand the rift that I had nothing to do with.
Yeah, right.
But I will not be wearing any gear going against UNC.
Not only does he have nothing to do with it, he wants to stay so far away from it. He won't touch it with a 300-foot pole.
And he does have
Smart.
something to do with it. He was there in Atlanta. Hey, what? Oh, no, you
Well,
weren't.
no.
You missed out.
No. I was there for the game. You talking
You
about?
were, yeah. The game you were, right.
He's
on
talking
offense.
about the more recent rift.
Yeah, I know.
I was
More
talking about more what Mike was talking
Yeah,
about.
I got you.
Mike's the
Raheem
king of
Morris.
controversy.
Raheem Morris,
He is.
Falcons coach. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.